Hello, everybody. This is Adrienne with Ascension Soul Coach. Today is September the 26th, 2022. And I have three topics about Meghan and Harry I want to talk to you all about today. One is going to be regarding Tyler Perry and his relationship with Meghan and Oprah. Two, Meghan evidently is going to get some award from GQ magazine for her commitment to service. And then three, Harry's book. Okay, so the first thing is Tyler Perry. He went on a radio show in the United States. It's a Black African American station. You know, that's the audience that they reach out to. And he's talking about a new movie he has that's on Netflix, which is we haven't watched it yet, but we will. In that actual interview, right up front, they asked him about Harry and Meghan, and he said that when Meghan and Harry left because of Brexit. In so many words, they went to Canada first, and then they didn't have anywhere to go when they came into LA. So he wrote to her and said he would offer them his home to stay in. And he didn't expect her to write him back or get in contact with him, but she did. And so they accepted his offer. So they came, and this is early 2020, spring of 2020, somewhere around that time. They came and they stayed at his mansion in LA, Los Angeles, for about 3 months, roughly 3 months. Okay, and then later on, he was able to meet her and talk to her about what had happened. And she told him everything from her point of view, what had happened. And he said he just knew it had to do with racism. She didn't explain anything to him. It had to be with racism. This is why they left. And he just knows that they're in love. Okay? So I'm going to let you listen to the clip of what he said.
Imagine, I never knew I would know a prince and a princess. That wasn't even what that was about. What I was reaching out to her for was because they were giving her hell. Right. And a lot of it was because she was a black woman. Absolutely. And I flat out, no denying it, I completely knew that. And I wanted to reach out and let her know that there was somebody there for her. Mm-hmm. And I sent her a note and not expecting anything to come of it. And she said, thank you so much. And that was it. And a couple of years later, we started talking and she was able to talk. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because she shared it first. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were able to talk and she was telling me some of the things that were going on. And I'm just so proud of where they are now, because I'm going to tell you something. Those two people love each other. Mm-hmm. I don't care what anybody says, I'm seeing it up close, and you can't fool me. Yeah. I got the Holy Ghost. Okay. You can't fool me. I know what's real. They really genuinely love each other. So I'm just so happy to see where they are now.
Okay. So let's go back to what Oprah said the other day. She said, there was two things. She said, one in the interview with Meghan and Harry was that she didn't know anything. There was no pre-written questions. It was all no questions barred. And she didn't know exactly what they were going to say. And then recently she's come out and said she did not expect any bombshells. She was only giving Harry and Meghan the opportunity to tell the world why they left the UK and the royal family. Okay? Well, if you don't know this, but Tyler Perry and Oprah and Gayle are very, very good friends. Very, very good friends. They have a lot of projects they were working on at one time together. So it's kind of hard to believe that Tyler didn't tell Oprah why he allowed her to stay at his house. And what Meghan told him. Now, it could have been like he felt like Meghan had a story to tell, and he set it up with Oprah for her to be able to tell it through Oprah. But to get Oprah to do it, he had to tell Oprah some of the stuff, or at least so it would be worth her while to even do the interview. I mean, I'm sure we all heard that Oprah had reached out to Meghan before the wedding, and that's why she invited Oprah to the wedding. So there was going to be an interview at some point in some time anyway, right? So it's kind of disingenuous for Oprah to say she knew nothing, nothing about what was going on with Meghan, even whether it was from her side. And as a journalist, what was going on in the newspapers all over the world about Meghan and why she left Mexico. Come on now. Y'all think she didn't know anything? She had too much inside information. And the problem with all this is that they only took Meghan's point of view. Nobody reached out to the firm or to the British royal family or the Buckingham Palace to even corroborate anything that Meghan had said. So although I like Tyler Perry And I truly believe that he wanted to help her. He's not the type of person that just grabs for, he's not a clout chaser. But the fact that he's only taking her point of view, and automatically it has to be racism from a woman who's never claimed to be black before. On all her resumes, she said she was Caucasian. That's the problem with black people. What we do is if we think you black, we say you black, you one of ours, we're going to protect you. No matter what you've done before, like let's just take for instance, when O.J. Simpson supposedly killed his wife. A lot of black people rallied around him, right? I don't think he killed her. I don't know what happened. I'm not even going to read on that. But what I'm trying to say is that's what we do. We rally around black people, whether they're innocent or guilty, because we've been so misaligned and tortured and treated so horribly in the United States that we see one of ours and we just want to help them because, we would want to be helped if we were in certain situations, right? Because we're not treated equally. The problem is that girl did never claim to be black until she got married and see that there was a money in that she was technically the first biracial person to marry to the senior royal family. Although there was another queen, we're not going to go into that either, but she's claiming that that's money in that, and so she can become the victim in that, and she's using it, and she keeps throwing out the N-word and says people talking about her children. And as y'all have said before, if there was somebody who called her child the N-word, she would have itemized and documented and sued that person that called her kids the N-word. Please. I would have. And she sues everybody, so she would have too, because that's a hate crime. Okay? So that was the Tyler Perry issue. So he told Oprah. He got up with Oprah, told Oprah she got a story to tell. Maybe he didn't tell her everything. He says maybe you just need to talk to her and y'all work with it. But I think there's a story to tell so people can really understand. Because this is what Meghan wanted everybody to know. Right? She just needs her story told because they've got it all wrong. And we've got to help her because her legacy and her name and reputation is out there. And just let her tell her side of the story so people can get the full view, because the Buckingham Palace is giving their side of the story. The media is making up stuff. So let her give her time to tell her story. So, when you're dealing with a narcissist, Tyler, you're dealing with people who go out there and find what they call flying monkeys. And nothing to do with colored people. It's what it's called, flying monkeys. Like in the Wizard of Oz. If you ever see the Wiz and the Wizard of Oz, and the queen, the evil witch had her flying monkeys that did everything she wanted them to do. They just did her bidding. And that's what they do. They go tell their side of the story, their sob story, and they had everybody else against that person that they're against. So Tyler's out there saying they're so in love and it was racism, because problem is he don't want to hear the other side of the story, that maybe that little girl is a narcissist who manipulates and lies and can take a little bit of the truth and spin it with a whole bunch of lies and make it sound plausible. And unfortunately, a lot of people get taken in, like all these Sussex people, squad people, sugars, whatever you want to call yourselves. It's the same thing. Nobody want to think anybody is manipulative like that and evil. But there are people out there who can get you. It's called con artists. There are con artists out there who can get you. They get a lot of people who are smart and intelligent, but they know how to spin a tale, right? And it's come off as being so innocent, and they're just out there to help other people, and they're not. And she is not one of those people that's out there to help us. She is a con artist, and y'all need to figure that out. But you will eventually. It takes a long time to figure it out. I get it. I get that you want to be on her side, on Meghan Markle's side. I understand. But sometimes you got to look truth in the face and say, wait a minute. Too many things. If there's smoke, there's fire. There's too much going on with that girl. Nobody is trying to misalign her reputation or smear her. They had no reason to. They welcomed her in with welcome arms. I mean, like anybody would want to be welcomed to a family. She wanted her own thing. She did things against what they told her to do. She went undercover on the things she wanted to do, setting up commercial deals while she was working, not following orders. I mean, she took an oath to take that job as his wife beside him doing that. And yes, you can change your mind. You can say, I don't like this, but don't go back and then go and ransack the family and then start talking bad and trashing the family. I mean, you don't want it. That's not what you want. Then just say, I don't want it, and leave it alone. But you couldn't do that. So it's a whole lot of swirling stuff around her, and y'all don't see it. You got to see it. If this person did that to somebody in your family, you would see it, but you can't see it right now because you're on the outside and you don't want to see it. She's giving you a story that's pretty, that's Cinderella-esque, and y'all want to fall for it. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm going to say about Tyler Perry. Second thing, the GQ magazine awards. Tell me, what has Meghan done to deserve it? I know a lot more people who've given their life to service. I'm not even talking about the Queen and the British royal family. I mean normal people who have given money, time, energy into projects to help the underprivileged, youth, within their community, the sick, the elderly, more than they have. They go around and get paid for everything they do, special perks for everything they do. And they want to call it service because they have an organization that gives $5,000 here, $2,000 there, or $10 a month here for dogs. And they get an award. They get to go accept the award. Y'all know she is not doing those things to get just the awards or to help people. It's about building her resume. Meghan is building her resume so she could be in the public eye, so she can get into politics and say, see, she's done all these things. She spoke at the UN. She was a part of the new leaders, whatever agenda association, whatever. She was part of senior royal family. She's produced her own podcast. She's done these things on Netflix. She's building a resume, and she's using every single one of us to do it. She does not want to do this to help other people. It's only for her own gain. And you could say that's okay. That's the way she want to do it. Then don't play off as though you're being a servant. You are not. You're a businesswoman. Tell it like it is. You're not a servant. And you're using people and you're using organizations to further your own agenda to get yourself in politics. But just be honest about that's what you're doing. Right? And the other people are using you all to further their agenda as well, because they know you'll bring in, your name brings in people and attention to your cause. But don't get it twisted. They talk about y'all behind your back because they know y'all just attention getters. That's it. But fair is fair. If they're making their money and you're making your money, that's good. Just to stop calling yourself servants and you're out there got a nonprofit. You are for-profit, commercial-run business, Archwell or Archetypes or whatever you want to call it. But these awards and stuff that people are giving you is because you know people, like the person from the editor from Vogue. You're making connections and you're networking your way to get these awards, to get your daggone self in front of the camera, so you can say you got all these awards. So when they introduce you, they're going to read your whole resume, so you can seem like you're somebody bigger than you are. But anybody look behind your resume would know they're just line items because you didn't do anything to earn it. Nothing. Not the NAACP award, not this award, or not any other award, because you don't stay still long enough to help nobody. You're in it for a day and you're gone. You're in it for the notoriety and then you're gone. And just be able to put it on your resume. That's it. And that's not genuine. Y'all think she's a genuine person. She is not genuine at all. That's the other thing I can't see why black people can't see it. I guess because they don't look at it. Like the British royal family that's over there. They treated her bad because she's black, and that's all. That's the narrative, and that's not true because there's a lot more to that than what y'all think. All right, and the third thing I want to talk about is the book. I told y'all in the reading before, earlier, around the Jubilee, right before the Jubilee time frame, I said that the British royal family is going to try to block that book, and they are, and they're putting pressure and leverage on Harry to change things. Whether he does it or not, I'm not sure yet, but they want that book stopped. They just don't want it out there. It's just a distraction for what they're trying to do, okay? And what they're trying to build a reputation for William and for King Charles now. They just think it's a distraction. It's never needed to be done. I mean, however, I do believe he could write a book on I don't want to say leadership, but inspirational book on life and how he overcome a lot of things. If it's a positive book on how to help people, yes. But if he just want to dog people, and not even give the British royal family an idea of what's in the book, that says a lot about him. So I'm going to do a reading really quick. Because again, my office is not set up to do readings, but I'm going to do something for you all because a lot of people are talking. I want to do a reading on one of the things I've been writing on some of the pages on YouTube, some of the other creators, is that Meghan and Harry abdicated from their roles, just like King Edward VIII and with Wallis Simpson. And the letters patent. There's actually a clause in there written about what happened with King Edward VIII. and how they had to change his title to Duke. He's still with the HRH, Duke of Windsor. But his wife, Wallis Simpson, only became Duchess of Windsor. She didn't get the HRH title. And it also talked about if they had any children, they wouldn't get the title. Okay? So I believe it's a possibility that the Queen, because she was there when all this happened with her uncle, and Charles, I believe Charles was born during this time as well, could do something very similar to that with the letters patent, because it's a unique situation like with King George VIII, where they left, and everybody need to stop saying it was abdication. They left their roles. Yes, they said up front they didn't want to leave, but they wanted to do half and half out. Well, so did King Edward VIII. He said he wanted to still marry this woman and still be king. He didn't want to leave his post either, but I mean, technically he didn't really want to be king. He really wanted a free life, but he said he would have stayed king if he could marry Wallis Simpson with the blessing of the royal family and the church, but they said no. So just like Harry and Meghan were saying that they wanted to do half and half out, but the way they wanted to do it was against what the British royal family felt was decent and in order. So it's almost the same thing. They abdicated. They decided to leave, just like the Windsors did. So we need to stop saying Mexit. It is Mexit, but there was abdication of duty and roles. And so their children should not get HRH title, just like as people say it's not fair and it's not equal, they're treating her like this because she's black. They did the same thing to the uncle who was the king. So it has nothing to do with race. It may be prejudice a little bit, I guess. I don't know, bias because American versus British citizenship, I guess. She was married before and divorced, just like Wallis Simpson was. I mean, but that was the way it was. And so if people really take the time to look things, especially Tyler Perry and the black people, look it up, the title patents from what happened to King George VIII. They did the same thing. When he decided to leave his duty to marry that woman, he got stripped of stuff. They're treating Harry better than what they did to the uncle, because they took all his property, got him to sign all of it over, exiled him to the Bahamas or wherever he went to govern, gave him a little role over there. When that was done, they didn't give him any more roles. Right? He could only come when he was invited back to England. It's like for his mother's funeral, and there was a dedication service for his mother. And I think when he died, they gave him a funeral service, and when she died, they gave her a small funeral service. But they both got buried at the cottage, Frogmore Cottage. So they still had some perks, but for the most part, they were exiled. And then the Queen did go see her uncle a few months before he died and try to repair him. Because they knew he was dying, and so they wanted to go. Now, this is the one thing about the Queen. They hadn't talked to him a lot when they were in exile, but when they found out he was dying, she took her husband, her children, I think two of her oldest children, Charles and Anne, went to her to go see her uncle. I think they were living in Paris, I want to say. You could look it up yourself. And talked to him and made amends as best they could. Harry couldn't go see his grandmother before she died, knowing she was dying. And that was your grandmother. She done nothing to you but try to help you. I'm talking to Harry, I'm talking to Meghan, I'm talking to y'all. So let's do this reading. Is Charles going to treat Meghan and Harry like he did his great uncle, King Edward VIII, who abdicated? Is he, or has he, written up papers, letters patent, or some type of documents that's going to kind of replicate or simulate what he did with what was done with them? So I'm going to pull some cards, and I'm going to let you know. Hold on one second. Okay, so these are the cards I threw out. And this is using, y'all to see this, I'm using my Haunted Tarot. Okay, so the first card I threw out was Four of Cups. So Four of Cups is about waiting, disconnection, not offering the cup that's in front of you, a lot of contemplation, thinking. So a lot of thought of it has gone into, see, y'all think it's just because the Queen just passed. No, they were thinking about this long before. There was a lot of things that was happening. There was some type of communication, maybe not going on directly with Charles and William and Harry, but the family was talking about a lot of things, a lot of scenarios. And then a lot of things was coming with what Meghan and Harry was doing. And I think when they came out after the Oprah interview, when they said they were going to start, Buckingham Palace said they were going to start responding to lies that came out of Harry and Meghan's mouth. I think at that time they got really heartened on what was happening, and they wanted to make sure, okay, these people are not going to slow down with the lies that they're telling on us and the stories and just putting stuff out there. And I'm sorry if y'all, my dogs are running around, the puppies. This is my puppy. Hey. Anyway, what we're going to do is at this point, we're going to just let them go. We love them. They can come see us sometimes, but they're no longer going to be offered any roles as the senior royal family. We know they're not coming back. They're going to be disrespectful, but we're going to just keep the stiff upper lip, and we're going to be the better people, but we're not going to take no crap for them. And then in the interim, they started writing up stuff. I think they thought long and hard about how they were going to do them, because they offered stuff to them and they did not accept them. You know, they wanted peace, but Harry and Meghan didn't want to accept them. So they were like, well, we've got to think about what we're going to do what's best for the family. The next card was the High Priestess reverse. So there's a lot of secrets and there's an agenda. So there's, like I said, they've been thinking about stuff, and a lot of things that they've done is in hiding. There's a lot of things they're waiting on, as far as the lawsuit that Harry has against the monarch about protection. The day of mourning is done today. I think they said the day is the last day of mourning. It's the 26th of September. And the book coming out, that's another thing. The podcast is coming out. There's things they're waiting for. And they're not waiting for it because they haven't made their mind up. They're waiting to release a decision about the children so they can have ammunition to further support their decision not to give them anything. Okay, so they could change their mind. I don't think they will, but I think they're not going to come out and say, we're not giving the kids the HRH title or the Prince or Princess title because of the book. They're not going to say that. They're just, after everything comes out and people analyze everything and they see how bad it is, you know, that's just going to give them more ammunition to say, to further their position of why they didn't get it. They're just not going to say that's why. They're just going to let us all come to that conclusion of, yeah, I wouldn't give it to him either based on what he said. So I think a lot more people will be more comfortable with the decision. It just supports the decision. But the decision has been made and it has been written. And the Queen was a part of that particular decision. And you got to understand, her mother, the Queen's mother, and her grandmother, Mary, Queen Mary, they all had a hand in what happened to King Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson. So she knows the routine. She understands why things had to be done. Maybe sometimes you're like, why we got to be so hard on them, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, you see that it has to be a certain way because you got to protect the family. And these people, if somebody's going to sit out to ruin you and ruin your reputation, you have to stand up, you know. Now, the good thing about Wallace Simpson is that she didn't go out and harm the royal family. She took it as it came, but she never said anything negative about the royal family, unlike Meghan. So that's why they got to handle them a little bit differently, especially with social media and stuff like that. They can't always be out there just defending themselves. So they have to be very tactful. So you just wait, right, and let them hang themselves with the rope, because give them too much rope to hang themselves, because that's what they're going to let them to do. Say things, do things, let them blow up, and like they get the little tantrums going, so they can it just further proves why they shouldn't have the HRH title anyway, especially the children. Not right now. And then the last card was the Eight of Wands reversed. Again, slow moving. They waiting. They waiting. All this is about waiting. We offered you stuff. You didn't want to take it. So we're going to think about what we're going to do to protect this family. There are secrets, a secret agenda of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And they're going to wait them out. They want them to blow up. Charles and his group want them to blow up just to give them more proof of why they shouldn't give them the titles. Wait out, because you know you can only be so nice for so long. If that's not your personality, you can only be so nice for so long until your true character comes out. And that's like when you're dating somebody, y'all. That's another example, another tip for y'all. When you're dating somebody new, you give it time, because the first few months they're gonna be perfect. They're gonna act perfect and give you everything you want, especially a narcissist. But they can only pretend for so long. And then I always tell my son, don't bring no woman here to see me that you haven't dated for at least 6 months, because you need to see how she is before you bring her to me, because he's not married yet. He dates women, and he's more in control, more in tune with his career. But when he starts dating somebody for 3 or 4 months, he can kind of figure out what's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, don't even bring them. You get to know her for 6 months before you bring her here and for me to see her. So, yeah, so Charles is waiting them out to see how they're going to act, because after a while, they're going to stop pretending to be nice. They're on their P's and Q's right now, supposedly. But, okay, so that's that right there. Okay, so I'm going to throw another card out, some more cards out, and I want to know what's going on with Harry and Meghan as far as their feelings with everything that's going on. The one thing that got to me was and I think a couple people have talked about this, but I saw it, and I want to talk about it for myself, because, I'm glad somebody else saw it. Once they were leaving the Abbey for the funeral, the initial funeral, but Harry and Meghan came out, and everybody says they were being ignored by Eugenia and her husband. They got into the car. Yes, Harry took a deep breath and blew his cheeks out. Like, glad this is over. Nerves. I'm sure it was nerves. Anger, nerves, tension. There's a lot of emotions. But when he got in the car, Meghan was turned towards him. And he did not look at her. And it was like he didn't, normally they're all up on each other, especially Meghan being all up on him. I don't know if there's an arm rest in between. It looks like there may could have been. But still, they didn't scooch next to each other, nor were they talking to each other. Meghan was looking at him, and he looked very tense. So I want to read on what was he feeling when he got in the car.
Six headed back across the pond on Tuesday, according to multiple outlets, with Hello reporting that they flew out of London's Heathrow Airport.
And I'm going to use my Madhouse Tarot for this one. Okay, so what we got is, the first card is going to be the Chariot, and it's reversed. So, of course, they got in the car, right? Okay. So when it's reversed, it's about... Right side up means you're moving in a direction, moving fast in a direction, right? You know what you're going to do. This is losing focus of where you're going. Like maybe you made a decision, maybe you were ambivalent about it. Okay. Or you don't know which way to go. Like, okay, and I can see that if he's there with his father, he said, what? I'm going to respect my father's, role. But then he goes to the church, he doesn't sing the song, God Save the King, during the funeral. He's also, let's go forward and read. Then we have the Lovers reversed. This is the Lovers. And it's reversed. So also there's this ambivalence about the relationship he's in. Maybe there's some awareness now that everything he does with Meghan is always being criticized, and it's not always people. So maybe he's starting to see some things are like, if she really did stop him from seeing his grandmother before she passed, let's just say any minute that you could have been on the plane could have gotten you there quicker. I think he sees that issue did prevent him from seeing his grandmother before she passed, and he knows that, right? And he could be blaming his father for that because he didn't let her come, but he sees that every issue he's been in lately for the past 4 years has been an issue related with Meghan, and there's just ambivalence about whether everything she does is right. Like everything I'm doing with her eventually starts to hit you. Like nothing's going right with her. Right? Whether he blames them or not, he just knows it. Nothing with her goes right. Okay, everything is everybody's against them. And so the last card is the Hierophant, and it's upside down. So all these cards are reversed. Okay, and all these cards are major arcanas. So this is a pivotal moment for him. I think he's recognizing some things. Like the Hierophant is more like there's rules and regulations that you're not following, and that you've made a decision not to follow them, right? So let's try to put it together. So he's lost direction. He doesn't know which way to go. He feels a pull on his heart between his family and duty because he really wants that, but he wants it in the way that he wants it. But he also knows that being with Meghan is a tear between him and his family. He recognizes that now, and that he's made the decisions to not follow the rules. And that's playing hard on because that's what his grandmother wanted. So he's thinking about that too, what my grandmother wanted me to do. And sometimes when you go through trauma like this or grief, and he didn't see her, and all these things prevented him to being part of the family and being there when she passed, or being close by, or even seeing her before she passed, it played on him during that funeral. I think he's kind of resolute with being with Meghan, but he knows that it's preventing him to being with his family, preventing him to being there with his grandmother when she was passing. And now his family's not talking to him. His decisions he's made. And so now he's kind of like thinking it through. I'm not saying he's changing his mind, but he's thinking it through, because there's a point in time in life, if you got any sense, you start realizing everything I do with this person turns out bad or wrong, or I feel bad in that situation. Whether he still believes he should support his wife or not, that's not the issue. He just knows there's an incongruency in him feeling good and him being with her when all these things happen. I guess not that he's blaming her, but he sees it now. He sees that everything about them being together causes issues, right? And he's just thinking about it, you know, like, this is really hard. This funeral to him was harder on him than just leaving Mexico, not getting any money and the protection he wanted from his father. His father not speaking to him. That was bad. His father not speaking to him in the beginning was, when they first left, was hard. But I think this funeral has made a lot of emotions come out of him, a lot of thought, and a lot of connections about the life he's leading with Meghan is never going to be fun. They may go home and have fun in the house, you know, their husband and wife, their young newlyweds, whatever you want to call it. And there's excitement sometimes in some of the projects they're working on. But I think the connection with his family, there's always going to be the sense of loss, and that he didn't live up and fulfill what his grandmother wanted for him, and that people still feel like he should. And so he's ambivalent about, should I try or should I not try? Should I try to make up, or should I, you know, I got this book, should I not go forward with it? But I think I may have to go forward with it. I got to support my wife. I have to be there for my wife. But it's killing me and my family. And he's stuck because he doesn't know which way to go. Not to say he's going to go back and make amends with his family. It's just, I think this made him see 100% clear that this relationship, this partnership with her, causes a lot of pain. Not that he doesn't love his wife. Not that he's not henpecked, which he is. He's henpecked. But at some point, he's realizing there's a lot of negative connotation with it. Nothing is perfect. The way he envisioned marriage with her when he asked her to marry him, none of that's come true. Now he's got his children, you know what I'm saying, but nobody sees the kids. People talking about the children, da, 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 da. But the vision he had of this life and this relationship when he married her is not what he got. And even though he decided to go over to America with her, he still had hope that he would have a foot in, foot out, especially with grandma around. And now that his father's king, he knows he's lost a lot. He knows his daddy is pretty much about to write him off or has written him off. And his family, the rest of his family has done the same thing. And then you got Camilla sitting in his mother's spot as being queen consort. So he's got all that thrown in his face right now. And he's having to take a strong look at what the decisions he's made and where it's going to lead him. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question, and this is about Meghan and Harry's relationship going forward for the end of this year of 2022. Between now, since what happened with the funeral until December 31st, 2022, how is that funeral going to impact his marriage now that he's starting to see things a little bit more clearer with Meghan? So I'm using I am using my Deep Place Oracle. Okay, and I'm going to pull 3 cards to help me read that situation. Okay, and we've got 3 cards. Okay, so first we have, and these cards I'm not going to read upside, but the first card, they all came out reversed, but we're going to look at Threshold. It's the first card. So Threshold is he's at a door. Like I said before, he has come to the realization that something between Meghan and him is not what he wanted to be. So, and he's come to this funeral and he's starting to realize some things, right? So he's at a threshold, what he should do. What can I do? Can I walk through that door as the son of the king? Can I walk through the door as the prodigal son coming back home? Do I do that? Can I do that? Will I do that? Right? He doesn't know, but he's at this threshold where he's going to make it. He's ready. He is prompted to make a decision. He doesn't have to, but he's at a door, and it's a door has been put in front of him to make a choice. And he can choose to walk through that door. He can choose not to. And the second card is Dreamtime. It's like, okay, when you come to that door, you can make that door any way you want to. So if you step to that door and you become the son of a king again, and you want to walk back into being a senior royal, you can make it anything you want. You can work with your father. But as long as you're respecting the British royal family and you're doing your job out of the goodness of your heart with passion, you can make this really whatever you want. Because they're at a point where if you come back, they're willing to work with you if you truly want to. So you can, if you walk to that threshold and you want to make that decision, you can. And there's open possibilities of what you can do. He can do in that particular role if you walk back through. But he doesn't have to. There's other doors he can. There's that door, and there's a door to go back to America and make that all he wants to make it into. But there's just the decisions he's going to have to make on how he's going to make his life worthwhile going forward, more meaningful, and not just wandering through wherever Meghan pulls him. You know, his imagination is just as important as hers. Of what he has an idea of what he wants, and he needs to start making it work, and not just doing what she wants and pulling him through all these holes that she wants to go to make her political career. You know, he's only supporting her right now. His life is not being fulfilled the way he wants it to be. Now, the last card is growth. So again, he went to a funeral. Look at all those flowers. He went to a funeral. It's almost like the Wheel of Fortune as well. But growth is like going inside and taking the lessons you've learned over the past 4 years and do this funeral and apply those to him, because life is short. You could say, well, life is short and I'm going to stay on this side of my wife and stay in America and have this life with her. But he needs to get more involved in his life and the choices he make to make his dreams come true and not just hers, right? Or he can come back home and be with his family and learn the lessons, take lessons he's learned over the past 4 years and become a better senior royal if his father so would let him. But he's at this threshold where the possibilities are limited, and for his good, if he makes the right decisions, that's for his purpose in life, his dreams in life, he can make it come true, and not just for someone else, not for his father's sake, not for the queen's sake, not for Meghan's sake, but for himself. He's at this threshold where he's finding that he wasn't happy in the royal family. He's not truly happy in the situation he is with Meghan. Not to say he don't love her. He's not truly happy, y'all. He is just not. Y'all just need to get over it. He is not. And he is at a point in his life, though, that he can make a change. He has to speak it out into the universe. He has to tell Meghan what he wants, and he has to go for it. Right now, he's just been pulled along. He's been pulled along as he thought he was being pulled along in the royal family, and that didn't make him happy. He's been pulled along in this marriage. He's dedicated to her and the children right now, but in the next 3 months, there's going to be things that come up. And if that book comes out and it's negative against the royal family, he's going to get plummeted by the media, by the people who are reading the book, the people who don't even like them. It could tarnish his reputation. So he's got a lot of thinking to do about where does he want to go from here if he wants to have true meaning in his life, Harry's life, not the royal family life, not Meghan Markle's life, his life. Or he's always going to be unhappy. And this is what hopefully waking him up to these things. Life is too short to live someone else's life. And that's all you're doing. You're not giving to yourself. And I don't see that he is. I mean, there's nothing he's doing in any of his roles really that shows you that he is doing something for himself. Everything is about Meghan right now and what Meghan wants and how Meghan's trying to build her legacy. And, you can only give yourself to your partner to help boost them up for so long before you start to ache for your own recognition, your own life purpose. And that's, and he sees how his grandmother lived a life of purpose. His grandfather, his father now, that's their choice to do it. They're not trapped. This is a decision they made. Maybe they at one point felt they were trapped and they just got on with it and they took it and they ran with it and put their heart into what they were doing. And that's what Harry's got to do. Either he's going to put his heart into Meghan and find a way for himself, or he's going to put a heart back into the royal family and find his way through that, or leave it all and find himself. But he's at a threshold right now. That's where he's at. Okay. So that is my reading and my ranting from earlier today. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and you know how to get in contact with me at ascensionsoulcoaching@gmail.com. Anyway, y'all have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.